The Garnet and Old Show, a very special edition. We got some releases today, some news, Vince. How are you doing?
Yeah, we did. I'm doing great. This has been quite the weekend, Ryan. And I know we're going to talk specifically about the depth chart this evening. But I wanted to say that watching everybody post on X and post on Facebook, knocking them back at the airport, wearing their Dublin bound shirts. Already.
Luggage
people
lost.
Some people luggage lost already. Absolutely. And luggage found, some people already. But, I'm leaving on Tuesday. And already, I FOMO, man. I feel like I'm missing out because everybody's over there and, hooping it up. Now, we're staying a couple extra days after. So when a lot of people are probably going to be heading home, we're going to be there for a few days afterward. But, Ryan, before we get into the depth chart thing, let's go ahead and throw up the graphic of our fall schedule.
Absolutely. Vince, this fall, we got a packed Garnet Old schedule. So live from Dublin, we're going to have pre and post game and a members only show. While Vince is in Dublin, he's going to be there. I'll be here. We'll be doing a show together. And then Boston College, man, Labor Day night.
Coming fast.
Parking pass is ready to go. We are going to be there. We are going to be tailgating in lot 12. That's lot
Correct.
12. So if you want to come by and say hi to the Garnet and Old gang, lot 12, which is right by the tennis courts.
Yeah, Ryan, let's just say that last year, as the season wore on, the tailgate for Garnet and Old in lot 12 really started to climb. It started out a little light at the beginning of the season, mostly because of the heat, I think. A lot of people with that. But hey, the Boston College game is in the evening, so there's no excuse, and we're going to be tailgating pretty much all day there.
Yeah, and no one has an excuse because you're off the entire day.
Indeed, you're off the entire day, and if you're smart, you took Tuesday off too,
like I did.
Correct.
I'm sure you did too.
And I know we've got we got all these dates lined up here, and G&O Game Day. The idea behind that is lot 12 tailgating, and come on over, hang out, probably have some merch there as well, of course. Throw back a few. Ryan, are you going to be bringing the griddle?
I will be bringing the griddle, especially on Labor Day, because here's the thing: noon games not worth it. On noon games, you just bring some, stop by the Holy Poultry Chick-fil-A and get some minis and all that kind of stuff. But for an 8 o'clock kick, Vince, which for people who tailgate, and especially people who have to tailgate, do a pre-show and have a family member in the Marching Chiefs, an 8 o'clock kickoff is ideal because you really actually get relaxation time, which is a weird thing. Yeah, I know everyone goes to tailgates to relax, but a lot of times Vince and I are thinking about, okay, what time we got to do the show?
Right.
What time is Vince going to start breaking down because he's going to head over to see the Skull session? So we'll get some relaxation time. Now, we will, of course, cover all the games this year, pre and post game, but these are the games we'll actually be at. And then if you take a look on the 18th and the 9th, both for the Duke game and the Notre Dame game, we will be doing a show live in person from Fishweir Brewing Company in Murray Hill. It's in the Jacksonville, Florida area. They were great hosts to us last year. We did 2 live shows. Members
Great
of the
Knowles.
former
Great
Chiefs.
Knowles.
Yeah, former Chiefs are going to be there, hopefully playing some tunes. We expect that to be a packed house because we know for a fact the Notre Dame game is a night game. So it's going to be fun. It's a brewery. But it is a family first brewery. But they do kick kids out, I think, after a certain time.
Hey, keep in mind also, they're both night games because the Duke game is Friday night.
Yes, I forgot about
That's
that.
a Friday night game. So it's going to be, the weather's going to be great. The brews will be flowing. The brewery is owned by some great Knowles. And like Ryan said, last year, I haven't coordinated all this yet, but last year we had some alumni chiefs come in and give us some live music during the game as well.
Absolutely. And just look at all our events for the Garden Old banner. We have a big banner we hang from our tent when we're at lot 12. And we'll have an entire table, cameras, multi-camera angles. We do it big in the Fishware Brewing Company. We have probably
We do.
6 camera setup or something like that at this point.
It's nuts. Probably overkill, but we want to give everybody the vibe of what's going on. If you can't be there, just like when I go to Dublin, Ryan, I'm going to be, you and I are going to be putting together some kind of pre-recorded, or not pre-recorded, but pre-scheduled things. But also be aware, folks, I may just pop on at any given time to give people the vibe.
Absolutely. And one of our listeners, Fatal Jedi, said, I'll be at the BC game with Big Game James. Hopefully get to meet you guys. Yeah, come by lot
hope
12.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hope so.
We generally run into many of
Bring James by.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring James by.
And to be honest with you, we run into a lot of the greater Florida State podcasting universe while we're there.
Right,
so we tend to all end up running into each other and interacting with each other's fans, which is really awesome. Now, we are going to talk depth chart. The good news is we're going to talk depth chart. And then if you can't get enough depth chart talk right after our show, you can go over and watch another depth chart show on the Renegade Report.
Renegade Report's going live at 7, all about the depth chart. So if we don't get to it, I'm sure George and Jen will get to it as well. So you're going to get a lot of depth chart tonight. Ryan, I got someone here in the chat that's worried about the recruiting class.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. So William.
Be patient.
Way too early to worry about the recruiting class. And
be patient.
From what we learned about the deal that lineman got that went to Georgia Tech, multi-million-dollar contract for a undersized lineman.
I don't want to poo-poo him. I would love to have him.
He would never have started first year.
No, first year, no, but rarely would. Only in old school Florida State days when we didn't have any linemen would he have started.
Can I be honest with you though, Vince? I'm only going to pay $800K to over $1 million for a skill position like or a game-changing linebacker. To me, if you're going to pay that kind of money for a tackle or an offensive lineman, you go in the transfer portal and you pay that kind of money for someone who's ready to go.
They pay that kind of money in the pros for that position.
Yeah, so enjoy Georgia Tech. You won't get to see him.
I hope he has a great time. No hard feelings, and keep in mind also, William. December is a long way away, so. Are we ready to talk about the depth chart?
I am born ready, but before we do, hit that like button. There's 31 people watching live right now. Hit the like button. That's how it gets other people to see our show. Smash the like button, as one would say. Also, subscribe and hit the join button. We have a lot of members, exclusive members. Vince and Doug Rohan will be doing a members-only live stream in Dublin next weekend.
That's correct. We're not sure when yet. We're not sure when yet, but it won't be. Well, I could say it won't be game day, but who knows? We don't have the date or time yet with that, but we are going to be doing a members only stream.
Yep.
In addition to the ones that are going to be for the masses as well. So,
and if you want to know where to find it or when to find out when those times will be, follow me on X at bigpapaeast. Follow Vince at vcnole or at Garner_old.
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, people. I know people avoid it if they, I don't know why they avoid it, but if you hit the notify bell on the YouTube channel, it'll let you know immediately when we're going live. So do that, and then you'll never miss any of the the Irish jig that Doug Rohan has agreed to do.
Absolutely.
No, he didn't really agree to do that, but that would be funny. Maybe I'll get him to do it. A few Guinness in, maybe he'll do one.
Absolutely. Well, Vince, I think now is the time. Let's get right to it. Let's get to the depth chart. Look at this. My heart's saying, Vince. Now we have the offense and defense. Real quick, I want to mention Jalen Lucas starting punt returner.
Yes, I didn't pull up the special teams depth chart, so I don't have that live here. So we'll just have to talk through that.
Yeah, Jalen Lucas is starting punt returner, and then kickoff returners is Jalen Lucas and is it Keziah? No, it's we'll look at it in a second.
Yeah,
but let's start
so,
with the obvious ones, right?
Yeah, let's start and just go through every section, right? And so QB, is there anything in the QB realm that shocked you at all?
I was interested to see who would win the backup job between Luke and Brock, but it makes sense. We're not going to really, I don't give too much credence to that battle yet. It'll matter next year greatly between those
for
two.
sure.
But this is about what I would have guessed in February.
Yeah, I didn't expect Luke to jump Brock there. So no surprises there for me. It looks like George is in the chat here. So George, just to let you know, we're pointing everybody to go watch your show at 7. So
absolutely, because if there's one thing we know about Florida State fandom, they can't get enough content.
They can't get enough because we're almost there, people. We are almost there.
Absolutely. Now, I am interested, and let's go to the next section, Vince. Cam Davis on the depth chart is a beautiful thing.
And an or. How about that?
Yes, which means, by the way, I have a soft spot for Keziah. I love Keziah Holmes. I think he has what Keziah Holmes gives you is the Toa Philly effect. Quick twitch, makes someone miss in a phone booth, but I am really, really looking forward personally this year to seeing Jalen Lucas on the field.
So, yeah, well, for sure. We're going to see him not only on the special teams route, we're going to see him here as well. Going back to Keziah Holmes, when you see a freshman that's an or with a redshirt senior, what does that tell you, Ryan, as the season wears on?
That we have evaluated extremely well and that he is going to play.
And I think as the season wears on, unless, hey, and I'm not saying Keziah is not going to hold him off. Maybe he does. He's very talented. But as the season wears on, you may see those two flip-flop.
Yes.
And you'll see Cam Davis's name first, right?
Yes.
So anyway, that's crazy to me. And Sam Singleton, how about that?
Yeah, but real quick though about Cam Davis, if you took the names off the jerseys and if you had the running back room walk in front of you, right, out in the field, you would probably immediately go, okay, who's an NFL back? You would immediately go immediately Roydell Williams, big. I mean, he just looks the part. But Cam Davis is specimen.
Cam, you would look at him and go, he's already been in the league for 4 years.
Yeah, he actually looks like a Benson already.
Yeah, he looks older, like he looks mature as well. So the running back room, other than seeing the or for Cam, there's nothing really surprising there for me. I am happy to see Sam Singleton's name. Absolutely. They started saying his name a little bit more as camp wore on. So that is awesome.
Let's get to the topic that everyone wanted to discuss the whole offseason. Now, if I were to have sat down, Vince,
2 weeks ago, Ryan, if you were to put this together, what would it look like?
Malik Benson, yes, absolutely. My affinity for Ja'Kai. I would have said Ja'Kai Douglas because of experience alone. Right now, Mike Norvell, yes, you have a lot of youth on this wide receiver group, but you need someone that has been in the fire, and Ja'Kai's been in the fire for a while. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting to me. At the beginning of camp, would I have ever predicted Elijah Moore would be on the depth chart at all? At the beginning of camp, absolutely not. I would have said, late enrollee, he's not going to be ready.
That's right.
However, he is not an or. That was what I was looking for. If Ja'Kai was in Douglas, if Ja'Kai was in threat of position on the depth chart, I expected to see an or.
Mm-hmm.
But what this tells me is that although Elijah Moore and as ESPN would say, Spawn, although I do believe that they will see plenty of action this year, of course, because we rotate so many players. What this indicates to me is Mike Norvell's priorities, and his priority equals getting an experienced guy who knows the system better than anyone on the field.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the first game of the season, halfway around the world, you're going to lean on people that have spotted the ball and played at this level. So that's great. 2 weeks ago, if I had to put my chart together, there'd been a whole lot of ors.
Yep.
A whole lot of, I don't know, but Kentron or Hakeem, I like that.
Yeah, I do.
I like that a lot. And Darion or Louis McCoy, I like that too.
I actually expected, this was my first surprise in the depth chart. I expected in a similar vein as Ja'Kai for Mike Norvell to go Darion Williamson, starter, and Jalen Brown as an or.
Mm-hmm.
But given the nod to the young man, to the redshirt freshman, which tells you, once again, Vince, they have evaluated better than almost any staff in the country. And we are finally getting, when's the last time you saw this many freshmen on the depth chart at Florida State wide receiver position? When's the last time?
I mean, well, some coaching staffs didn't ever let it happen, but sometimes you have a lot of freshmen on the depth chart. That's not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
For this situation, this portends to some great things in the future, and it is exciting to see that. Think how far we've come with the wide receiver room. Think about how far we've come. Think about how not that long ago people were wanting Ron Dugan's out the door.
Yeah. Think about how we were over the moon that thank God we have Malik McClain, because without him, the season might be, we were at one point 3 years ago, Vince, saying, man, do we have even a guy that can that could potentially play? It was pretty rough. I mean, we were rolling out Pokey Wilson and Malik McClain on the regular.
Yeah.
It's just nice to see this much talent. And it took this much time to get the depth, and that's where we're at now. And I'm going to tie the next position into the wide receiver room.
Before you get to the tight end position,
yeah,
Ryan, let's do some shout outs to some people.
Absolutely. Almighty Finn. How do you get recognized on the Garnet Old Show? Almighty Finn is a YouTube member. Hit the join button and become a YouTube member. What is up, Almighty Finn? Good to see you. Tomcat, we're going to get to the tackle positions. He says, I'm hoping for a new right tackle, but if he's the best, I'm good with it. And Almighty Finn also wrote, our fan base always ready to fire someone. Absolutely.
It's true. And we're not the only ones. Other fan bases are like that too. So yeah, let's get into the tight ends, because there's no surprises here, but there's a comment in here about the tight ends if you want to pull that up. And this to me talks about this to me says more about when this game is falling, as far as like this is the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Versus whether, these other guys are ready for prime time or not. Amari Williams, remember, he's pretty green as far as part of the program. And tight end, they brought him in, I think, to be a defensive end. But he played both ways in high school. So he's an athlete. And so putting him at tight end, get him on the field faster. Landon Thomas, I think, injuries notwithstanding, I think as the season goes on, you are going to see both of those guys. It's just, the first game of the season. And remember, putting freshmen out there, you got to have a lot of trust in them. And Kyle Morlock, I think he's going to get it done. And I think Courtney and West have also upped their game as well.
Yeah, I think with Morlock, I mean, it's just, it makes my heart sing when you see 6'6", 240 redshirt senior, because what that tells you is my man's seen some things. He's like an old war vet. He's been there. He's done it. He is faster than ever, stronger than ever, ready to go. And now you have a quarterback who really, 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 really likes to hit those seams. And it's going to be fun to see that connection. So again, I think this is a case of, with the other two tight ends, of Norvell balancing the obvious upside of talent, of course, and acknowledging that on multiple spots on the depth chart, while understanding we have to play a ACC opponent the first game
out the gate
in a different country. So you need some guys that have seen action, that aren't gonna, the moment's not gonna be too big for them. And so you put the older guys in, similar to what you said, Vince, about later in the year, Ja'Kai Douglas, maybe Elijah Moore, and Deuce Spann see some more time. But you put the guys out there that, hey, when everything's going crazy, if it gets intense, they bring a calming presence to the team. And that's what Brian Courtney and Jackson West bring to the tight end group.
Almighty Finn, we've got you covered. If you get fired, we will pull you on as
honorary
special correspondent, and we will pay you as well as we pay ourselves. We'll just say that.
Absolutely. Now, here's where it gets, I guess there's some controversy among the fan base, not for me. You look at the offensive line, Darius Washington, of course, right? Yeah, that, I don't think that was in question. I think where people start to get a little concerned, my guess would be more on the Jeremiah Byers.
Well, yeah, because there were some moments last year, more than a couple probably, where Jeremiah Byers, was still getting his feet wet, and maybe didn't perform to the level that everybody would want him to or would expect him to. Remember, not everybody is a home run right out the gate. And did we lose you, Ryan?
No,
we may have lost Ryan. Okay. Looks like you paused on me there.
No, here.
No, we're still here. Okay. So yeah, I'm not, again, there's a lot of or, and not only is it or, it's or at the first string.
Yes. Now,
so that
what I'm
is awesome.
What I'm thinking of is Julian. Of course, everyone's going to point out Julian Armella, clearly not on the depth chart. Listen, guys, were we all super, super pumped when Julian Armella, at the time in which our offensive line was struggling, as a 5-star kid coming in here? Yes. But guys, I hate to tell you, there's been a lot of 5 stars, 4 stars that have come and gone, Florida State program and other programs around the country that, hey, we're excited about, but just for whatever reason, fit, style, being ready for the moment, whatever it is, if it hasn't worked out here, maybe they go somewhere else. So when I look at this and everyone says, where's Julian Armella? I say, listen, it comes back to what Vince and I have been saying for years. Do you trust Mike Norvell? Do you trust Alex Atkins? My answer is always yes. And so if he's not on the depth chart, I agree with the reasoning behind it, because I trust those two as talent evaluators.
Yeah, it hurts me a little bit just because he's a legacy, and you always want the legacies to do well and do more than well. And who knows what's causing, the slow progress there. I'm sure, I don't have any information about this, but, I think he had to put on some weight at some point. And, Lord knows we don't want to put people out there that cannot handle the, rough and tumble that goes on at the line play. If he is good enough, he will be put in the depth chart. If he's good enough and if he's healthy enough, he will be put in the depth chart. And if he's not, he won't be. It is a drag because I had some positive hope for him, because of the last name, because of the stars next to his name. But it doesn't always work out. Either way, I'm pulling for him.
Yep.
And I want him to crack the depth chart. I do. I want to see his name there. I want to see his name among these other names. And somebody pointed this out on Twitter. Actually, a few people pointed this out. And that is, if you look through that list of linemen, Ryan, there are no repeats.
That's true, which is nice, which means that there's no injury that could happen that someone else would have to roll to another position.
I mean, I don't even remember how long ago it's been since you could say that, where you have a legit two deep where you're not repeating anybody's names.
Yes, and the final thing I'll say in Armella, guys, I would rather them roll out someone who they fully have trust in than to put out Armella because he was a 5-star and him on occasion to get blown off the ball and fall on the ground. It would not be good for him if he had those moments. So if he's still having those moments on practice, which we still hear he occasionally is having some issues with, being, good rep, and then ass on the ground. A lot
Ants
of times, yeah, that's a good one. You wouldn't want that for him. He wouldn't want to put that film on. So he will play when Mike Norvell and Alex Atkins believe he is ready and not before then.
Ryan, you know me. I am an eternal optimist.
Mm-hmm.
I think before this season is over, Julian Armella's name will show up at some point on the depth chart.
I believe before this year is over, Julian Armella's name will show up in the transfer portal rumors. That's what I believe.
And folks, you're getting the difference between Ryan and Vince right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's switch gears.
All right, defense.
Defense, which if there's any position, there was only one surprise. Let's start with the obvious. I wasn't surprised, but a lot of people were surprised to see Kevin Knowles.
Hold on now. I'm going to call you out on this. Before the last couple days, before the last week and a half, when you started hearing about Kevin Knowles, if this depth chart came out with Kevin Knowles on it, you're telling me you would not have been surprised?
Go back and watch our shows from last year when people were ripping Kevin Knowles and hear me defend him on multiple occasions on previous shows.
Okay, so I'm going to have to take you at your word, because you would be one of maybe a million people that would not have been shocked, to see Kevin Knowles starting over Earl Little Jr. prior to the last 10 days, because we started hearing his name more and more in the last 10 days.
Don't you think, though, Vince, this is more of what we've already discussed? First game, different country, need to have a healthy mix of guys that have been there, guys that, haven't had as many snaps?
For this situation, I don't think so. I think that Kevin Knowles is back to his position that he excels at. And he's excelling at it. And I know for this particular thing, I don't know that, especially at the starter spot, I don't think this is about, hey, let me put someone in there that has been through the fire that I know I can trust and just going to put him as a starter. I think legitimately he is back at the position that he naturally excels at, and you see the proof of it here.
We talked about it on like 2 different occasions last year, and it being a harder transition for him out of position. I mean, we discussed that, and Renegade George in the Renegade Report chat here saying here,
absolutely,
yeah, we've heard him say the same thing. So, but Vince, you were, I'm sure, pretty surprised
to see Kevin Knowles there, as a starter. Not after I would have been 2 weeks ago, but after I started hearing his name come up after almost every practice, And I started putting 2 and 2 together. Like, yeah, well, it kind of makes sense. I'm not at practice, Ryan. You're not at practice. We have to go by what people are telling us.
Yep.
Once I in my aged brain started putting 2 to 2 together in terms of, well, he is back at his natural position.
Yeah.
And when he was at his natural position as a freshman, he was really good. So,
you know what I love, Vince, about our cornerback room? That's outside of Kevin Knowles. A whole lot of 6 foot somethings out there, not a whole lot of 5'8", 5'9". There was a time period where we were seeing a whole lot of 5'10s, 5'9s rolling out there, getting smoked. And so it's nice to have some size. But I would say, Vince, let's just go backwards a little bit.
yeah.
On the defensive line, no surprises here. Patrick Fagan, Josh Farmer, Daryl Jackson, Marvin Jones Jr., Cam Riley, and DJ Lundy. I mean, that's who we would have, everyone in the entire FSU fan base would have penciled in, yeah?
Yeah, I like the or between KJ Sampson and Tomiwa Durajaye.
Yeah.
If you recall, I was one of the first
Yep.
Knoll YouTube hosts to say his name correctly on the first try, and I'm very proud of that. And then let's see, Grady Kelly. That doesn't surprise me. I'll tell you, we haven't gotten to the linebackers, so you finish because I am surprised about this one.
Well, I'm not surprised on the linebackers. On the starters, I'm surprised by the or.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
that to me was an eye opener for me.
Mm-hmm. He's got the size, he's got the build, and he's got a whole lot of what for. His motor is strong. I mean,
he's gaining the size for sure. He's gaining the size.
I have more confidence in this depth chart here, going all the way to getting into the safeties. Devontae Brown, Conrad Hussey, man, I'm telling you, watch out. What I like about Conrad Hussey is he's got some nastiness to him. I love corners who have sass, and Conrad Hussey is my guy there. But also in the video game world, Charles Lester III, man, multiple time game of the week performers. Charles Lester, man, I take control of him in the game, and it is interception city. But that's in a video game. Azareye'h Thomas, of course. I believe Azareye'h is going to be on every NFL draft list first round from here until the end of the season.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And you know what? I'm really excited also to see Fentrell Cypress in his second season in this system. We talked about it maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, about how people were kind of disappointed in his performance because they expected, because he was an all ACC performer at Virginia, I think. And they expect him to come in and just, nothing's different. I'm just going to continue. No, people. Like, there are things you have to learn. So I'm excited to see what Fentrell is going to bring to the table. Azareye'h and Fentrell, yes, love it. I'm looking forward to that so much. And how about Shaheem Brown breaking the rock?
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see all the montages and everything by the Florida State media team. Do a great job with those. Vince, what my overall take here, looking at this big picture, this is the first depth chart I've seen, top to bottom, front to back. This is the best depth chart of depth and talent combination overall I've seen since the 2015 depth chart. Now, we had questions in 2015 with key positions like quarterback. We didn't expect Everett Colston and Sean McGuire to light the world on fire, but everywhere else on that team still stacked with a lot of depth and talent, and the Jimbo effect had not worn off yet. So this is the first time that I look at this, that I've looked at a depth chart and not gone like this, at least in one position.
Yeah.
Not have concerns where I'm like, what are we going to do there? Even last year, Vince, there were some, hopefully the linebackers are all right. Hopefully Johnny Wilson continues to improve. We don't know at the time at the beginning of the season, we didn't know anything about our, who would become our best receiver. Like we didn't know anything.
Right.
So,
Right.
but this
Think
year I'm looking top to bottom and I'm seeing experience that's been here forever and then loaded with young talent and this depth chart gets me even more excited. I'm more excited about this depth chart for next year than I am about this year.
Yeah, I was about to say, not only these names that you see here, you should be excited about the names you see here, but there are other names that are not on this chart yet that are, I mean, just thank goodness that we're able to gradually bring people into the fold now rather than throwing them to the wolves before their bodies are ready, their minds are
Mhm.
ready. Um, there are more reinforcements coming, everybody.
Yeah.
And we should all be, I mean, we kind of, there's definitely some surprises here, but we all knew that the depth was going to be the best it's been in a long time this year. Seeing it on paper, though, gets you super excited.
Yeah, it gets
Gets
me
me super
excited.
excited.
And what I like about it is, like you spoke to, the slow growth where we're finally here. And Coach Norvell mentioned it today in his press conference where they asked about the offensive line, and he mentioned how all those guys on the offensive line, man, when they got here, they were thrown out there
Hmm.
early, and they struggled, and they had growing pains, and they had to see the best of times and the worst of times and everything in
And you
between.
just hope they didn't get hurt.
But now here we are. Those guys have, if there's any position on the entire team, I think that all of FSU fandom will agree is elite, top to bottom. It's the offensive line, in my opinion. Starters, where every position, you would be hard pressed to find me another depth chart in America where another fan base is saying, depth chart, hey, offensive line is a strength. I can't believe how good it is. So
Ryan,
when
did you just say that the offensive line is elite?
I think
Did I hear that right?
this is the first time. By the way, we never got, and I contend this to the day, 2013 and 14 teams were amazing. Those were not elite offensive lines.
Well, they were not very deep, I'll tell you that.
If we had had an injury in
And
2013, we were so lucky in 2013 because the drop off was steep. We haven't. This is the best offensive line since we've had since maybe the 2001 FSU team.
yeah, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to think back that far. I was alive and I remember it, but to compare is difficult to do. But what I will say is that it's way more. Uh, um, what's the word I'm looking for? The possibilities. The sky's the limit more than any offensive line that I've seen for 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years, maybe.
Yeah. And what's exciting about that is, Vince, you've seen teams and people who are worried at all about DJ. When you have an offensive line that can protect, we've all seen those games where they drop back and they go all day to throw, and you hit your like fourth check, down the field for a long gain.
Slim Reaper escapes the pocket. Slim
Yeah,
Reaper chalk outline on the ground,
yeah, that's how it was. It was like first read and he's dead.
and he's laying down.
When James Blackman was God bless him, was quarterbacking.
Oh man, poor
I can
guy.
see several occasions. And by the way, I again rewatched some of the DJ footage from last year. How many times that man he did? It's not like a scramble like you would normally think of. It's more of like a lumbering forward where he has nothing. He's not going to be able to break outside the tackle box like to the left or right, and he kind of just runs forward, and two guys hang on to his waist, and he falls forward for a gain of 6. And you're like, how did he get 6 yards?
Yeah,
So you're going to have that at quarterback. You're going to have a guy like Cam Davis and Roydell Williams just pounding you, and you're going to have an experienced offensive line. You're talking about size and power. I have never been so excited to see our first and goal from the 5.
it's going to be kind of a mind shift for a lot of fans, because how long has it been since we've blown people off the ball with waves of bodies, competent, more than competent bodies that know the system, and then you've got, a complete wrecking ball coming through the line, whether it's a running back or the quarterback. It's been a long time since we, um, Dan Kendra was supposed to be that kind of quarterback
Mm-hmm.
for us. Then he blew out his knee, and that was the end of that. And that's unfortunate because I think we missed out on some good stuff there.
Yeah.
But man, DJ, um, I'll always have a little bit of worry when a quarterback runs with the ball, just because it's kind of ingrained in us as fans
As
to have
last year saw.
after a little bit of worry about that. But we're going to get used to seeing DJ pull and go. We're going to get used to seeing it, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and what I also notice is he makes off-balance throws look so easy. There was times in which he was rolling backward, like kind of like falling backwards with a flick of the wrist, and he throws and drops it in the bucket down the field. And it's just amazing. And that, keep in mind, that was at a school that definitely doesn't have the talent on offensive line as Florida State. So he's going to have a lot more time to throw. And I agree with Tomcat here. It's nice to see some of the young guys in the 2 deep and 3 deep on the offensive line. No, like Vince said, no repeats on the depth chart.
When I read the depth chart, that's the first thing I looked for, was the line to see who was where. It's the first thing I looked for. And it's the first thing that came to my head was, oh, I'm not seeing Darius Washington's name
3
somewhere
times.
else. And I'm not seeing Maurice Smith's name backing up himself. Right. So it's so exciting to see that.
CHJ229, which is new to the show. I haven't seen him before. Welcome to the show. So on 3rd and inches, I expect to see QB sneak. Yes,
you're going to see some of that for sure. No more weird pitches on the goal line that get fumbled, and so. What else? Anything else about the depth chart, Ryan?
Nothing specific about the depth chart, Vince, but this is kind of this is your and I's last chance to talk before you are in Ireland and before we do our pregame show and all that fun stuff. So give me a sense, Vince. How are you feeling? Don't give me a prediction or anything like that.
Yeah, we'll do predictions later.
What are you feeling on a Sunday night, the week of the game?
About the game or about the trip or both?
Everything. Your emotions right now.
I can't wait to get on the plane and go. I am packed, about 90% packed. We still have a couple things coming in from Amazon that need to get here tomorrow for the game day thing. But I'm just excited to get over it. I'm not necessarily excited for the long plane ride.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to get over there, get the lay of the land, and meet up. Man, all of our Knoll family, not all, obviously, but there's such a large contingent of the Knoll family that's over there right now, making that place their own. I want to be there, Ryan. I want to be there, and I want to be part of it. And then leading into the game, I got some great feelings about the game, man. And the depth chart only further bolsters those good feelings. Don't forget Friday, Ryan. We're going to be doing a meetup at the Porterhouse Brew Company in Dublin. Doug's going to be there. TJ from Double Fries No Slaw is going to be there. And we are just meeting a bunch of Knowles, sharing a pint or two. And we're going to do a show from there as well. Yeah, we're going to do a show from there as well.
Now, Vince, were you like me and a bunch of other people who completely forgot until today, like King Spling writes here,
Yeah.
Is Alex Atkins not being there an issue? I had forgotten all about the violations, the nonsense from last year. So Alex Atkins, for those of you who are not aware, does not get to participate in game day activities for the next 3 games as part of the recruiting violations,
Ridiculous recruiting violation.
which the NCAA has no backbone, and I wanted them to just ignore it and see what happens. But they're trying to do the right thing, I guess. But here's the thing, guys: if Alex Atkins, I know in name is the offensive coordinator, but if he was the actual offensive coordinator, meaning he was the one that calling the plays, I would be worried. But Mike Norvell is the play caller of the team, and then he has a whole bunch of dudes that have been on the team forever on offensive line. So it's not like these are like 2 freshmen and 3 sophomores, on the road and seeing it all for the first time. These guys are pros on the offensive line, so I don't expect to notice any difference. And I think we have people on the staff, and they've known about this since the violations come down. So it's not like they didn't prepare. So I think there'll be 0 impact at all.
I don't know that it'll be 0 impact. I don't want to take the total opposite side of what you're saying, because I totally agree with everything you're saying. I'm just saying to assume there's going to be 0 impact, I think, is a little naive. It's not ideal that he's not there. It's not ideal. It's ridiculous that he's not there. And it's not ideal. I don't think it's going to end up being anything of significance to cause the game to go differently than we expect.
Here's why I think it's no big deal at all. If they had said he doesn't get to take part in practices either, I think that's a massive deal. But being that he's allowed to practice and coach them up and meetings and all that fun stuff, that's where I think Alex Atkins benefits come from, is that he is the coach on the field of the offensive line. But when it comes to game day, play calling, getting guys out there, I think that's mostly Mike Norvell anyways. The only thing that you could see as like a potential, like, hey, -5%, maybe a 5% difference would be like when the offensive line comes off the field, and maybe some whiteboard stuff on like, hey, we're going to make some adjustments. But I'm confident in the staff that is in place and that they've prepared for this kind of thing. So I'm not worried at all. I don't think it'll affect the outcome of the game.
Yeah, like I've already said my piece on that. Before we close out here, Ryan, a couple things. The Marching Chiefs block list went up earlier today, and the block list is basically when all of the people that have been trying out know if they've made it. And if you're not aware, everybody in the Marching Chiefs has to try out every year. So it's not like once you're in forever.
As you found out once, when you were in Chiefs, or got nervous
Oh,
about.
Yeah. Oh, I was always nervous about it because there's only a certain amount of spots. There's only a certain amount of spots on the depth chart, Ryan, and there's 420 roughly spots on the depth chart. You think, well, that's a lot, but understand that every year the Chiefs have probably over 550 people trying out every year. So, and I may be a little off on that number, but so today they found out. So I want to congratulate all of the kids that have been working hard in the heat for the last week and a half or a week or so to try and make the group. I want to congratulate you for making that. And if any of you know any Marching Chiefs, make sure you congratulate them for making the block. It's called making the block.
I'm assuming your daughter was one of them.
She did make the block. And so I was nervous today as a parent. My wife will tell you, like, my wife and I didn't even talk to each other for about 2 or 3 hours while we were waiting for the block list to go up. And then when we saw the block list, we were able to breathe a sigh of relief. And Ryan, there were probably kids that are going to go to Ireland with the Chiefs that did not make the block.
That's awkward.
Because they had to know who was going to Ireland first. And then they all had to try out. And so it's possible, and I don't know who they are or whatever. There are possible there are Chiefs that are going to Ireland that when they come back, they will not be in the group. And that is, it's heartbreaking. But just for those of you that love the Chiefs, know that they are ready to go. They're actually practicing right now. And they are getting ready to go to Ireland and come back and put on a show Labor Day night.
Absolutely. Now, Vince, we're going to talk more about it when it comes to Labor Day night. I'm excited to hang out with you on Labor Day weekend. It's going to be a good time. I'm considering getting there Sunday just to make it a nice, relaxing Monday.
What are you going to sleep under the bridge, or what are you going to do?
I was going to sleep it, on the ground right outside Doak.
Just put the tent up in lot 12.
Yeah,
you could sleep there.
Absolutely. But I'm really excited for that. And that's our first chance for most people. Now, there's some people that are going to Ireland. That's awesome. But that'll be our first chance for the greater audience. If you want to come by and meet us, we got so much. I'm going to put it up one more time. Vince beat me to it.
I beat you to it. I knew where you were going.
Look at all these game day lives. Now, these are the live ones, being like someone from Gartenold will be in attendance. We'll do a show. We have a couple live shows in Jacksonville, a bunch in Tallahassee, and then we'll do pre and post game for all away games, of course. Weekly live stream every Thursday at 7:00. That's not changing. But this is our packed schedule. And I want to say one thing. For all the members in the chat, and you could tell they're members by their color next to their name, the green, right? Thank you, because this isn't free. We don't get to do this for no cost. I know a lot of you, we love to go to the games, but it ain't cheap.
Yeah.
And we love to go to Ireland, Vince, and it ain't cheap. And we love to do live shows, and it ain't cheap. So all of you out there who are YouTube members, who do super chats, who Venmo us, whatever it is, thank you, because it's the only way that we can really, warrant that this is cost effective to run this show. So you keep the lights on.
What's interesting? What's interesting too, Ryan, is that it's just like anything else. You say every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps. So, if you're like, well, I only gave this much, it doesn't matter. Just by liking the show, that helps. Just by subscribing, that helps. By setting the notification bell, like all of that helps. It's not just the money. All of it helps. So we thank you for being part of the family here. And please stay tuned for this week. Like I said, at any given time, I'm probably going to annoy my wife. It's like, I'm going to go live because I need to show the community what's going on here, right? So I'm looking forward to doing all that. And one thing I forgot to say at the beginning, I need to get used to saying this, but I want to thank, of course, Captain Black's Fishing out of Panama City for outfitting the studio here. So I forgot to say that at the beginning of the show. So John Black of Captain Black's, thank you.
Hey, fishy, you got our back. That's what we're doing. We want to catch the whole pond.
Yeah. Okay. We're almost done here, Ryan. I want to remind people that Renegade Report's going live here in probably about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that.
7:00.
They're gonna be talking about the depth chart as well. And so if you got some more Knoll energy in you, go ahead over there.
And I'm sure all the shows, Spear Addicts will probably be doing something about it later this week. So we're all a Knoll family. What I like about the Knoll family of podcasting and shows is that we are all happy and friendly competitors, meaning that we all want to do well, but we all want to see each other do well.
And everybody's a little different, which makes it fun too.
Yep, exactly.
Makes it fun.
So, guys, as always, screw ESPN eternally, especially when game day is there in Ireland on Saturday, which is going to be a lot of fun. But
it's going to be interesting.
As always, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. Vince, tell them.
We're going to send Chiefs all the damn time as much as we can. So if you're looking for other places to put your money, don't forget about the Marching Chiefs Coaches Club, which is specifically for travel. Send Chiefs all the damn time. Go Knowles.
Go Knowles. We'll see you guys pregame later this week. See you guys.
Bye.